Imagine living your life after 50 and feeling energized and excited about your future. Welcome to the Women in the Middle podcast, the podcast for women who are ready to figure out what they want and create the life they deserve. Here's your host and master certified life coach, Susie Rosenstein.
Hey there, welcome back to the podcast, Women in the Middle. I'm your host, Susie Rosenstein, your Master Certified Coach and Midlife Mentor, and I am so glad to be here with you again for this week's episode, which is all about 12 obvious signs you're ready for an exciting change in midlife. Now, I know, when I was stuck, I didn't recognize the signs of how bad the situation was, how deeply stuck I was, how desperately I wanted to get unstuck, and how much time I was wasting. The situation was so unusual for me in that before midlife, I was amazing at figuring stuff out, knowing what I wanted and moving forward to achieve my goals. Like I knew what I wanted and I knew how to get there. Yet somehow between 45 and 50 years old, yes, 5 long years, something happened and I wasn't that person. I was lost, confused, frustrated, and even a bit overwhelmed by the depth of the stuckness. I knew nothing about podcasts or life coaching. Things were way different back then. Technology and online learning, Zoom calls, that didn't exist. All of this stuff was not where it was today. Like some of the stuff existed, but it just wasn't where it is today, and I wasn't plugged into it at all. So that's what we're going to talk about today. 12 obvious signs that you're ready for an exciting change. But before we go there, I wanted to give you an update about the podcast milestone that is fast approaching. If you're a new listener, get ready. Something exciting is going to happen soon. And if you're a regular listener, thank you so much for being in my community. I couldn't have done this without you. So what's going on is that the Women in the Middle podcast will soon be hitting the exciting milestone of 1 million downloads. Right now, as of me preparing this podcast, people from 88 countries around the world are listening and 959,295 downloads have occurred. And that just blows my mind. So in podcast land, you can watch the download stats. And this is fun to do. I check these stats a few times a month. It was even fun to watch where it was at the beginning when I started taking notes to the end when I hit record to get that number for you. There were changes. So you get to see which episodes are more popular too and where in the world the downloads are coming from. So fun. And I have to say, it's really fun to watch the stats. Do you remember your favorite episode? I would love for you to share it with a friend that you know needs to hear some midlife goodness. Sharing the podcast like this is a great way to help us hit that milestone faster. And you know what else? Don't assume that your friends listen to podcasts or even know how to find a podcast on their phone. So you may need to go to the basics and show them the podcast app and how easy it is to look up Women in the Middle or midlife podcasts or, anything that they're interested in. So good. And that's why I call it a party in your purse, because your phone's in your purse and it's a party. Speaking of parties, stay tuned for more information about the Women in the Middle podcast Palooza, an online celebration that you'll be invited to once we hit 1 million downloads. It will be announced in the next few weeks and you will be able to sign up so you won't miss any of the details and of course, so that you'll be able to join us. Okay, now let's dive into today's topic. 12 obvious signs you're ready for an exciting change in midlife. Now, as you know, in midlife, it's pretty common to feel stuck. You're likely feeling something, but aren't sure exactly what it is or what it means. You're feeling some sort of sign that something is different, something isn't quite right with you, and you've probably been feeling it for some time, but it was hard to put your finger on. That's exactly what happened to me. I just felt off. So ask yourself, is this you? Maybe you've been at the same job for a really long time and need a change. Or perhaps you've been laid off and you recognize you need to try something new. Maybe you've hit a milestone birthday, or you're gearing up for one. Or maybe you just know you're meant for something bigger, but have no clue what it is. Sadly, Perhaps you or someone close to you has had a serious illness. Perhaps you're coping with an empty nest or an emptying nest. So many things that could be going on, but whatever the case, you know something feels different to you, and you sense that you have to take the feeling seriously, even though it feels confusing. Now, that phase alone takes some time. It's like, I think I should pay attention. But I don't know what to do. I'll just ignore it for a while. But I think I should pay attention. I still don't know what to do. I think I'll stick my head in the sand. Time's going by. I'm still stuck. Like Susie, 5 freaking years went by. So whatever that whole process looks like for you is not fun. So here are 12 obvious signs you're ready for an exciting change in midlife. And I wanted to call them obvious signs for a reason. I know that you might not think they're obvious, but I would like to give you permission that if you're feeling or connecting with these things I'm going to talk to you about, a lot of people in hindsight think it's obvious. So you may recall listening to the podcast episodes where I've interviewed lots of people who were stuck and then they got on the other side of being stuck. Sometimes they were my clients. Sometimes they were just women in the middle doing their thing, feeling stuck and then figuring it out and moving forward. And, I ask a lot of questions. How did you do this? And the ladies I've been interviewing have been giving really great insight and information. And most of them say they were really stuck, but the thing that got in their way was the way they were feeling. And a lot of what they were feeling had to do with fear. So I want you to really think about that. Again, if you're a regular listener, you've heard this many times. I've interviewed lots of amazing women who have been in your shoes. I've been in your shoes. So I'm inviting you to consider it a sign worthy of paying attention to. Just us girls, okay? Just pay attention to this. So sign number 1, in no particular order, you feel stuck. Plain and simple, you just can't seem to figure out what's going on with you and what changes you need to make to move forward. And it's so unusual because you're usually great at making plans and having momentum. Something is different. Okay, so you feel stuck and you probably use that word stuck to describe it. You may use stagnant. I also hear blah, but the most common way that women in the middle describe it to me is that they feel stuck. Sign number 2, you feel like something's missing. You might be thinking, is this really all there is? You have a sense that you're supposed to be doing something more or experience something deeper in your life. You know deep down you're meant for more. You know this. Now, you may be poo-pooing it down, but you know it. I know that you know it, and you do too. Sign number 3, you're just not happy. Now, this is strange because you're usually a pretty happy person. You may even find it hard to admit that you haven't been that happy because everything in your life looks great on paper. But the truth is, you're not as happy as you want to be, or you're not as happy as you used to be. And it's not that you're sad necessarily, right? It's just that you're no longer content. It's something in that range. You're not happy. You're not content. You're not super sad, but you're not happy as you normally are or as happy as you want to be. Okay, sign number 4, you're tired of feeling the unknown. Now you keep getting a little bit of insight and maybe even a whisper of an idea of what you want, like a glimpse, what you might like to do and what you might need to change, but your immediate feeling is fear, just like I started out this episode talking about. You're used to being so responsible, and it doesn't feel responsible to pursue something new without a guarantee. Does this sound familiar? This was so me. You might even know what you want, but you don't have all the answers about how you'll manage the change, and you don't have every single possible scenario of what might happen figured out in your brain. You're older now, obviously, and you feel that it's harder to deal with the unknown. Like you think, that you just have to have it all figured out. You have to know exactly what's going to happen. But honestly, if the pandemic has taught us anything, we know now that there's not as much certainty out there as we thought. But the thing about sign number 4 is that you're tired of fearing the unknown. Okay, so you're just really getting tired of that kind of a response to what's going on with you right now. Okay, sign number 5. You don't know what you want. Now, as odd as that sounds, you're usually so decisive and clear about what you want in many other aspects of your life. But now at this age and stage, you just don't know what you want. Like you see yourself saying that and you can't even believe it. Try as you might. You're struggling with making decisions about what steps to take next because you're just not clear. And you even catch yourself saying, I don't know. I just don't know. You feel very confused. You just don't know. I just don't know. And that was me. I didn't know. And I hear it from enough people. I have a feeling that you may have been thinking that, or you might be thinking it right now. Sign number 6, you want a life that you can get excited about. Like that's become clear to you. Now, this is one thought that keeps trying to creep into your mind. You really want a great next chapter filled with something that energizes you and really inspires you to the core again. Like the way you felt when you were younger. In the old days, right? In the old days, your plans were exciting, and now they're not. That is, if you even have any plans. But you know that you want to be like all jazzed about something. Okay, sign number 7. You feel like you're wasting valuable time. You realize that you've had this vague feeling of being stuck and unhappy now for months, maybe even years, like me, years. You can't even believe that much time has gone by and you've made little to no progress sorting all of this out. That is what's so strange. You feel like time is flying by. You even say to people, yeah, time is flying by. As you're aging, time is flying by. And yet you're wasting your valuable time spinning about not knowing, not changing, not trying, not moving on to your next chapter with gusto. Does that ring a bell? Sign number 8, you're crazy busy. Now, you're not sure when your life got this out of control busy that you really have no time to think. You realize that you're running all of the time. You're just running so much that it feels like you're skimming through your days, not fully experiencing anything. Now, this totally happened to me. I just felt like crazy busy and I felt so superficial. Like I was skimming through, like just skimming at the surface, not going deep, not fully experiencing anything. And I describe it now as my mango moment. It was one of my worst parenting insights and experiences ever. I did an episode about it. I'll share it in the show notes. It had to do with feeling too freaking busy to cut my kid a mango. The kid, my little tiny kid who wanted fruit, I felt too busy to cut a mango because mangoes were complicated. I took too much time to deal with the mango, honestly. So if you want to hear more about that because you're feeling like you need to listen to that, that was episode 44, When You're Too Busy, and you can think of me now every time you eat a mango. But the bottom line around this sign number 8 is that you're certainly not living in the present moment and focusing on the life that you're craving. That's what is so weird about it. You're craving more meaning, you're craving a change, but you're not in the present moment. You're just too busy, blah, 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 blah. So that is sign number 8. Okay, sign number 9, you wish you could make a change. You fantasize about making something big happen. You even get a small taste of that wonderful feeling of exuberance as you look forward to that exciting next thing. But it's not like that. It's such a far away feeling. It's far away. You can't really believe in it yet. The change you want is murky and feels out of reach. Like you want it, you wish you could make it, but it's murky and out there somewhere, out of reach. That's sign number 9. Sign number 10, you're confused. You can't even remember that many times in your life when you couldn't think clearly the way you can't think clearly right now. It's so strange because it's your life and you know yourself better than anyone else, yet you, my friend, are bewildered. That is sign number 10. Sign number 11, you feel like life is passing you by. Sometimes you forget how old you are, and when you remember, you can't believe it. How could you be this old? And how could your kids be as old as they are? Where did the time go? And more importantly, you've started to think about whether or not you've accomplished what you thought you would have accomplished by now, by this age. And the answer is definitely no. Sign number 12, you're afraid of having regrets. You found yourself thinking that if you don't make some changes, you may actually have regrets about what you didn't do, didn't try, didn't start, didn't stop. You know the advice you would give your child or a loved one about regret-proofing their life. You would tell them, go for it. You hear things like, you only live once, over and over in your head. You know you don't want to live with regrets, but you're not clear about how to take the first steps. The cost of staying stuck and having regrets looms large. Now, those are the 12 signs. Let me give you a quick repeat. Number 1, you feel stuck. Number 2, you feel like something is missing. Number 3, you're just not happy. Number 4, you're tired of fearing the unknown. Number 5, you don't know what you want. Number 6, you want a life that you can get excited about. Number 7, you feel like you're wasting valuable time. Number 8, you're crazy busy. Number 9, you wish you could make a change. Number 10, you're confused. Number 11, you feel like life is passing you by. And number 12, you're afraid of having regrets. How many of these signs resonated with you? Do you know? So, if only a couple of them resonated, like maybe 1 to 4, you are on to yourself nice and early. You're slowly increasing your awareness about sensing some of the signs that you need to do something different to get excited about your life again. So you're on to yourself early. There's a couple of signs that you need to pay attention to and be more curious about. Now, if 5 to 8 of these signs resonate with you, you see what's going on. You know how stuck you are, and it's starting to be a persistent distraction. You're pretty convinced that you need to focus on this more and stop wasting valuable time so that you can live the life you're actually excited about every day. So that persistent distraction is actually another sign, but I really want you to pay attention to that. Like, you know, deep down, you know. Now, if 9 to 12 of these signs resonate with you, it's becoming crystal clear how obvious it is that you need to make an exciting change pronto. It's getting harder and harder to ignore this anymore. Like, you hear it. It's so obvious. You recognize the true cost of staying stuck, and the only thing between you and the life that you want is your fear and your thoughts. So where are you with all of this? Is it a couple of signs, maybe 1 to 4? Is it like medium, maybe 5 to 8 of these signs resonating with you? Or is it a ton of them, like 9 to 12? Like, even you know it's kind of obvious at this point. So that's my question. Is it becoming obvious that you need an exciting change? And if it is becoming obvious, do you still feel resistance? That's so common because change can be many things. It can be absolutely exciting and thrilling and super fun, but it can also be scary. So if you're feeling resistance, be on the lookout for another feeling, fear. Now, I've mentioned it a couple times in today's episode. Fear is one of the things that surprised me so much when I was in your shoes. I was way more fearful than I ever imagined. I prided myself on being strong and resilient and, sometimes fearless. So when I started to understand that fear was like calling the shots in my life in so many ways, it was a big, giant wake-up call. So here's the thing. Like I said, there's a cost to staying stuck. And in fact, I did a whole episode on it. It's episode 140, and I'll put the link in the show notes. It's called The Cost of Staying Stuck, Playing the Waiting Game in Midlife. The cost of staying stuck can surprise you. You waste more valuable time. You're not doing what you love. You feel terrible about being stuck. Like, you start to beat yourself up about it. And it's quite possible that there are people out there just waiting for you to get your act together so that you can help them or connect with them or do something with them. They're like, come on, can you please get over yourself so you can come help me? or, whatever it is. Like, I don't know what it is that you're looking for. Sometimes it's a career change when people are looking for more meaning. So it has to do with career or your professional contribution or your volunteer life or some way to give back. Sometimes it has to do with your relationships. And that's what's more. You're looking for more in some area of your life. And sometimes it has to do with your self-care while you're so stuck. There's so many things it could be. And only you know what it is. But be on the lookout for fear, the wasting of valuable time, you're not doing what you love, you're beating yourself up for being stuck, and you're not showing up in the world the way that you want to, the way that you know that you can. So my amazing women in the middle, listen to the signs. They're obvious and just waiting for you to acknowledge them. And in doing so, you'll be acknowledging yourself and honoring yourself in a way that a woman in the middle is ready to do. Okay, that's it for this episode. As you know, my focus as your midlife coach is to help you get unstuck, clear, and excited about your life again. As midlife women, so often we feel it in our gut. We're meant for more. I bet you feel this way too. You have something big in you, but you just don't know exactly what it is or how to get there. If you want to figure this out fast and have more fun getting there, there's no better mechanism, no better way to move forward like this than with a community of people just like you, a community of women just like you. I would love to be able to help you find that thing that you know you have inside of you. You have that core thing, something big, and I want to invite you to check out the Women in the Middle Academy. It's a 6-month coaching program where you get all the support you need to apply what you're learning here in the podcast, but more importantly, you get the clarity and excitement in your life again. So don't waste another second feeling stuck. Book your momentum call and we'll have a quick chat. Head over to www.womeninthemiddleacademy.com. For show notes and links and information about how to download your free gift, 12 Obvious Signs That You're Ready for an Exciting Change, go to www.susierosenstein.com and click on the podcast tab to find the information about this episode. You can also go directly to www.susierosenstein.com/12 signs to download your free gift there. Let's do this, ladies. It's time for you to put yourself first, one thought at a time. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next week.